to 2030 using the existing infrastructure and to try to do it as to the extent possible using market actions and not just pure mandates. So where do we go from here? I mean, what is the action framework that's required to move us towards sustainability? We kind of identified 4 out here. One is that make sure incentives are directed at scalable solutions, and as of right now, they may or may not be, but certainly if you can direct the biofuel incentives and use mandates towards some of the the more expensive and more difficult fuel mixes, this would be immensely helpful. Allow the creation of parallel electricity market structure to handle renewable resource variability. And if you could do that, clearly this is a tweak on the existing regulatory environment, but this would improve asset utilization. This would reduce the cost of energy overall, and I think would save a tremendous amount of money without really compromising anybody in terms of lifestyle. Incent the use of vehicles that are verifiably powered from inorganic resources. We've seen that there's a double benefit that is derived when transportation is converted from petroleum to renewables. Okay, because you certainly get a cost saving from a security perspective, and you get a huge emission saving. But I think the key out here is verifiably. So if you can set up a metric and a mechanism to verify that vehicles are powered by inorganic energy, then I think there may be an opportunity here to share some of the cost savings with them and to incentivize the adoption of this kind of technology on a faster basis. And finally, I think something that's going to be fairly difficult to do but is required is we move towards internalization of costs by eliminating taxpayer subsidies and remediation cost liabilities that are borne by future generations. The most important of these is really some type of price on carbon, whether it comes as a carbon tax, whether it comes as a carbon cap and trade. Something is I think critically required. But I think it's a concept that needs to kind of be a little broader in terms of application. It should include water, should include waste, should include a lot of resources that are in short supply. I think the moral takeaway I have out here that's really very important in my mind is, whenever discussion takes place about what we should do as a community, it's always about, we need to cut back on energy consumption. And I think my biggest aha moment out here was, hey, if we could find a way for energy to be abundant and available and sustainable, okay, this will no longer be a moral issue. It will just be an economic issue. And I think that's a very important, kind of mindset to have. It's quite different from what, we see discussed generally. So key takeaways out here: climate change solutions must be assessed using metrics that show economic growth and sustainability at the full scale that markets will demand. I mean, by not paying attention to what the scaling, issues are, we create, challenges in the near future, and many of these we can actually anticipate. Some of the current initiatives are kind of moving forward in what I call a loosely coordinated or uncoordinated manner, and we are starting to see some pushback from consumers, and we have to pay attention to costs, and we have to pay attention to issues of consumer adoption. And if we can't do that, I think it'd be very difficult to achieve the IPCC targets for carbon emissions. We do feel that the price parity between biofuels and petroleum that seems to be imminent will lead to a de facto ceiling on oil prices and will result in explosive growth in biofuels use, especially in emerging nations. These are the nations that can least afford the stress that's going to come on their land and water uses and biodiversity. So this is a major concern that we need to figure out how to address. Public policy should set clear long-term objectives. Should be technology agnostic. I mean, even though I'm a technology person and we kind of work very much in specific areas, our approach here has been, to the extent possible, technology agnostic, and I think it needs to be, that way. Any solution must provide the ability to scale globally and to make sure that the aspirational prosperity of emerging economies can be met. If you cannot show availability of enough resources that people with their hard work can get to that point, really there's no reason why China and India and Africa and others will adopt and agree to this. You know, one of the important things that we found here is that this is an action plan that we can execute on a unilateral basis because we derive the profits from it, it really is you know, something at a personal level as well as at a national level. You know, finally, I think all the analysis we've done out here is based on technologies that are within maybe 1, 2, or 3 years of price parity. So we can have a significant impact in the near term. You know, we see that from 2030 to 2050, maybe, you know, we can start thinking some of the new technologies that are in the pipeline. But if we were to build this, you know, scenario on those technologies being available, then this would not be realistic. So this is kind of, you know, the path that we have prescribed. What are the next steps before we open it up for comments from Patty and then for, you know, overall discussion? I think I'm hopeful. I mean, when I started off on this path, I really was not very hopeful. And I think we have a hopeful message. This seems to be a solution that is realistic, at least at the high level, is, you know, has looked deeply enough at issues that have been recognized by most people as being significant. And such a solution, if it can be implemented, you know, could meet security, economic growth, and sustainability objectives, as well as meet personal, national, and societal objectives. That's very powerful, I think, in terms of what you know, the message that we are taking forward. You know, we really need help from you know, many constituents, especially the climate change community, you know, to take this message forward to policymakers and to legislators. You know, what the analysis suggests is that radical steps really may not be needed, and most of what we've talked about are fairly gentle nudges on the policy side, something that could allow market actions to move us forward. You know, we would kind of qualify and say we're not experts on policy, you know, and or on markets, you know, really, but you know, we've been informed to the extent possible and have you know, made some the analysis based on that. And finally, I think what we are trying to do is to set up a blog to support community involvement and to try to get some feedback from the community in terms of inputs to us, comments back to us, and also as you interface with other people with this kind of a message, you know, what are the successes and roadblocks that you've encountered? Help us to brainstorm it. And this is a problem that we all passionate about. The fact that you're willing to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours on a busy day out here kind of suggests that. And I'm hoping that we've been able to add something, you know, to your thinking on this. I would end with an economist cartoon out here which says maybe there's no hurry, and we can meet in 2040 on the top of Mount Everest, you know, to have a final binding agreement on greenhouse gases. Thank you very much.